All right, so at this time, we started doing this in January, and what we would like to do is have an opportunity for people who want to share their testimony. So who wants to share? Oh, Alan? Okay, great. Now, Alan has agreed to share his testimony with us today. I might grab a cordless microphone there. All right, so
Good morning.
This is my good friend and brother in Christ, Alan.
So first off, I talk for a living. I've been in sales. One-on-one, we're good. A couple people are good. This is not my cup of tea. So I'm going to give Warren a job. If you've talked to me for more than 30 seconds, you know I have a tendency talking really fast. And I don't know that I'm doing it. It sounds good up here. So if I start rattling off real quick, just raise your hand so I know to back down. So especially when I'm nervous, it doesn't help a thing. So yeah, my name is Alan Six. We've been attending here. So we've been attending here for about 7 years now. And it all started when I was a kid in Florida. For those you don't know, I was born in Sarasota, Florida. Church was not a part of my life growing up. My parents took me and my sister, but it was kind of something they did to show the neighbors we went. It wasn't for the right reasons. They just did so they could go. So church was never an important factor in our childhood. I moved here in 1997 to Brazil, Indiana. For those that don't know, that's that way, about 45 minutes in a little town. If you blink, you'll miss it. That was when I was about 11, and things started to change in my brain where the lifestyle that I was surrounded in never felt comfortable. It never felt great. It didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't enjoy people that partied and all the craziness that came with that kind of stuff. So for the first few years as a teenager, that was something that it was life. It's what I grew up in and around. My entire family. I come from a very rough family. It's been a joke since I was 10 years old that I'm the white sheep of my family. So, and it's always been that way. So at the age of about 13 or 14, this is kind of when God stepped in and said, it's time to take the path that I actually have planned for you, not what you think you have now. I got on the bus, and to this day, a childhood friend, still one of my best friends, his name is Nick. He got on the bus and said, man, I'm just so tired. It was a really late night, but had a lot of fun. And he was all like me, where he didn't enjoy being out and doing things, so I was instantly intrigued. Like, what were you doing late on a Sunday night? It was a Monday morning that your parents were okay with. And he gave me the answer of afterlife. It's like, okay, what is that? No idea. So he explained to me that the youth group he attended had an after thing where they all went to the youth pastor's house, which that youth pastor's name is Terry Wilson. There's a few in here that know who he is, and that's kind of where it started for me. Try to keep it together here. He's someone that had a huge impact in my life early on. Saw somebody that needed help and they needed guidance, and which just wasn't getting it. Stepped in, and he has been in my life to this day. He's still there. Huge part of where I am now. But I walked in that church and for a youth group one night, and I instantly knew I was in the right place. So I looked around and thought, there's people that are happy, they're having great times. It's not a party. There's just people enjoying themselves. They're laughing. What is this? This is a real thing. And I just never left. So I walked in that night to the sanctuary, and he said, we're going to have worship now. And that was a scary word to me. I was like, I have no idea what you just said, what that means, but sure, let's go. And I walked into a stage much like this, and I saw a band up on stage and thought, whoa, I had already learned to play bass, and I thought, I can play bass and do this in church, and that's okay, that's a normal thing, okay. So my music, and that started that fire there, and God put a little fire there and said, that bass you've been playing for about 10 years now, that's where it's supposed to be. That's also where I met my wife, Kara, which she is at home with her daughter, Belle. They are both congested, so they decided not to spread that love with you guys this morning. That's where I met her at. When we started our relationship, we just decided at a point that it was time to move to a different church. A lot of things were going on, so we went to the church we came from to get to here, which is McKinley Hill in Brazil. And at that church, I was the sound guy there for about a decade. It was a similar situation where I walked in and they needed help behind where Robert's sitting right now, and I just volunteered to sit there one day and God said, this is where you're going to sit at. And I just never left. So I ran sound there for about 10 years. And about year 7, they asked if I was interested in being a deacon. And after lots of prayer, we decided that was what we wanted to do as a family. And that was at year 7 or 8 of our marriage. And that's where things took a turn, and it wasn't a good turn. There was just a lot of comfort and complacency, and you just let things creep into your life, and you don't realize it's there until it's too late. So at 9 years of marriage, Kara and I, we hit a wall, and we thought we couldn't fix it. There's no fixing it. There's nothing we can do. Nolan was 3, I believe. We sat down with him, explained to him that we just didn't think we were supposed to be together anymore, and we started having the conversations of separating. And it was about 2 weeks. Lots of conversations. We weren't really praying. I had given up, just ready to move on with my life and just put it in the past and take the next step. And then I came home one night from work. I worked in Indianapolis. And after a very long night with Kara the night before, where we agreed just cut ties and let's just figure this out, I showed up to work, and a colleague and friend that is not a Christian to this day, I still talk to him. But I walked in, and he said, "You don't look like you're feeling good today." I said, "I'm not. Long night, just don't want to be here." And about noon, he said, I went to the bathroom, came back out, and he said, "Your stuff's in your car, and go home." I said, "Do what?" He said, "I got it. Just go home. I don't know what's going on." I said, "I can tell you're not good. Go home." So made the drive home, walked in, and Kara and I sat down and just started talking. Hours. And we still hadn't crossed the bridge at that point. We were still just trying to figure things out. And that was the moment, the most impactful moment that God has ever had in my life and our family's life, where he flipped the switch. It was a literal instant switch where we were in the middle of conversation. It was just like light came back on, and God said, "I don't know what you guys are doing, what you think you're doing, but this isn't it. Like, this is not what I had in mind, so let's just stop right here." And we still neither one can explain what or how it happened. We just know that God intervened, and we spent the next few years learning to be friends, which is where we had messed up. We were a spouse, just roommates type of thing, and that's where the complacency came in. So we spent years in counseling and learning to be best friends, and to this day, if you know us, there's nobody in this world I like more than her. So then we walked in the doors here. We had moved to Danville. We had shopped for churches, and Jeff Frederick said, "Just come visit us one time, see how it is." And as you guys know, we just never left here either. So about 2 years here, Mr. Roger Schumann, who has also become one of the closest people in my life, very gently but very persistently wouldn't give up on the idea of me being back in worship. And I didn't know why. I didn't have any interest in it in my mind. Being behind that soundboard was never a good thing for me. It detached me from my family. So I don't want to run sound. I haven't played bass in 10 years. It's just not a fire I have anymore. And he just asked me, I think one time finally, just come to practice. Just hook up, and you don't have to play. Just come see how it feels. And you all know where that took off from here. So again, Kara and I have always believed that our walk in marriage has always been one of God's tools to share with people. So without what he did and what we went through, we wouldn't be where we are today. We fight like everybody else, but there's when he makes that connection. Mark 10:9, never let man separate what God has put together. And that's where that story comes from. So, but that's my brief little walk. I was going to try to keep it short. I mean, I can talk all day, but that's how I got to here, and special thanks to Roger, because without him, for me, this wouldn't have been here. So.